Now that my grandma's not here in this living room, I can enjoy this fucking place all for myself. Cheers, brothers. Oh, my stomach. I drank too much fucking Coke. Oh, this is made in Mexico. Oh, this is good. We haven't seen the last of me, guys. I will soon come back with an amazing new video, and it will make me millions. You just watch me. Oh. Alright guys, I am so sorry that I haven't made another video like this in like fucking forever. But here I am with it, and I'll explain why it took me so long in the first place. So originally, this was supposed to be, could ancient mammals survive in the Cretaceous period? And I was very serious with this idea. So much so that throughout the entire summer, I was just dedicated to making mammalian models. First Smilodon, then a Leo, then a direwolf, and then a Paraceratherium. And I actually got started working on the video. Then I realized that, other than this and this, I can't animate mammals for shit. And so, like, nearly 2 months of working my ass off making these mammals went to waste because I don't really know how to animate mammals as well as I do, like, theropods and other dinosaurs. So, yeah. And so you can only imagine how terribly I felt after this realization. However, I had to like quickly assemble a new idea, and that was, could Jurassic theropods survive in the Cretaceous? And this was actually the idea before the mammal idea. However, like, a friend in a call said something that convinced me to make the mammal idea. And so if I just didn't listen to my friend, no offense to him, but if I hadn't listened to him, I probably would have gotten this video out by like fucking July. Thankfully, I was able to get the Jurassic theropod models done in a very short amount of time, just because of two reasons. One, because dinosaurian models require a lot less detail than mammalian models, because mammals have a lot of fur, and overall, like, making a mammal is like the closest thing I'll ever feel to
You're a
hell.
nice guy.
Alright.
But you're not.
And two, because I wasn't distracted doing a bunch of fucking around on Discord, dude.
Bro, I can't. I can't. I can't.
Oh my gosh.
I can't. I just fucking I fucking can't.
I also just enjoyed my summer vacation a lot. Like, I went to Daytona Beach a lot, and I saw some amazing fauna. Dolphins, manatees, sharks, sea turtles. Even, like, when I wasn't in Daytona Beach, I was seeing alligators, snakes. Actually, I need to put this in, but I didn't get any footage of snakes throughout the summer. Like, I saw them, but I never got any footage of them. So, here's this cute little gopher tortoise instead. And I also fucked around a lot with my friends on Discord. We had a lot of fucking fun.
No.
So good. That's actually so good.
Also, Squid Game Season 3 came out in June, and ever since then, I got obsessed with Squid Game. Like, and I thought that the Season 3 was pretty good. I mean, there were some issues with it, but I thought overall it was pretty good. I mean, the ending was pretty mid, but let's just get into the video. So as I said earlier, we'll be placing 5 Jurassic theropod species into the late Cretaceous period and seeing how well they would survive based on 3 stats. How well they would fit in the environment, food availability, insect environment, and the competition, which is how we did the marine reptile video. Now you may be wondering as to what formation am I going to place the Jurassic theropods in. And I love to break it to you guys, but it will not be the Hell Creek formation. I'm sorry, but this formation has been overdone so much to the point where it's just so repetitive, and like, It's kind of getting annoying, not gonna lie. And so for our video, we'll be placing the Jurassic Theropods in the Tumedicine Formation. Now, if you don't know what that was, basically around 8 million years before T-Rex and the Hell Creek dinosaurs, we had the Tumedicine Formation, which housed a lot of other famous Cretaceous dinosaurs like Daspletosaurus, Gorgosaurus, Styracosaurus, and more. So let's get into each Jurassic Theropod we'll be placing in the Tumedicine Formation. First off, we have Allosaurus, which doesn't really need an introduction. I think we all know Allosaurus, same thing with Ceratosaurus. But then you got Qianzhousaurus, which I think is a very underrated dinosaur. I think it needs a lot more attention other than that shitty Mattel toy. And then you got Guanlong, which is one of my personal favorite dinosaurs, and despite its very Dilophosaur-like appearance, it's actually a primitive Tyrannosauroid. And then you got Dilophosaurus proper, which it's very interesting to me because it was one of the first true dinosaurian apex predators. Like right after the Ratasuchians went extinct, you know, like the dominant land predators of the Triassic, theropods like Dilophosaurus took over right away. It's very, very interesting to me and very fascinating too. Also, guys, I'm sorry if I sound a lot different from how I sounded earlier in the video. I mean, I think you can tell by my community posts I've been tweaking the fuck out lately. But you know what? I'm just gonna continue on in this video, and let's get into the habitat category. Now, in order for us to see whether or not the Jurassic Theropods we'll be placing into the Tumedicine Formation fit in well, we'll have to see how their habitat was like, as well as how the habitat of the Tumedicine Formation was like. So let's start off first with the Tumedicine Formation's environment. It wasn't much like the Hell Creek. It was a semi-arid seasonal floodplain, more comparable to that of the modern-day Mediterranean climate, but a bit harsher. The summers could get from 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, or 86 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and the winters could get from 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, or 41 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Basically like a lot like modern-day Florida, because over here the summers are fucking boiling as shit, but the winters are not that cold, but they're still kind of cold. I mean, at least for me, because you know, I'm not really used to the cold. Like as soon as it goes below 70, I'm freezing my ass off. You get the point. Now, how do the habitats of each Jurassic Theropod compare to the Tumedicine Formation? We're gonna start off first with Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus, as they both coexisted in the same environment, that being the Morrison. The Morrison was relatively similar to the Tumedicine Formation. It was a semi-arid seasonal environment with vast amounts of floodplains, lakes, rivers, swamps, with drier savanna-like uplands. It was a bit hotter than the Tumedicine Formation, with an average temperature at around 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, or 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot as shit. But it's like the average temperature here in like the summer in Florida. However, the summers of the Morrison Formation could get way up past 40 degrees Celsius, or over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which, Jesus Christ. The winters of the Morrison Formation could get from 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, or 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So basically, it's a bit like a Tumedicine Formation, but a bit harsher. Let's get into our other Jurassic Theropods. Guanlong lived in the subtropical wetlands of the Qianzhousaurus. What the fuck? Qianzhousaurus Formation? Sorry if I butchered the name.
是属狗
Where the climate was very similar to the Morrison Formation, while Qianzhousaurus lived in the lush, humid, subtropical floodplains of the Saxi Miao Formation. Sorry, I don't speak Chinese.
沙西庙沙西庙
Which had a climate more comparable to that of the Tumedicine Formation, where it was 86 degrees Fahrenheit on average. And last but not least, we have the Qianzhousaurus Formation the Albertosaurus resided in Arizona, which this is like all the other habitats where it's seasonal, it has occasional dry and wet seasons, and it's very fucking hot. But there's evidence of this formation being volcanic, so that's very interesting. So now that we've gone over all the habitats of each Jurassic Theropod, just how well would they fit into the Tumedicine Formation? And to be completely honest, I don't think the Jurassic Theropods would have too much trouble fitting in to the Tumedicine Formation. Well, yes, the Tumedicine was certainly cooler than most of the Jurassic Theropod habitats. It wasn't to the point where it'd be a complete deal breaker. And keep in mind, dinosaurs, like birds, were endothermic with fast metabolisms, and this allows them to adapt to changes in environment and temperature a lot more efficiently than other reptiles like lizards, snakes, and turtles. And so with that, I wouldn't really say there's too many disadvantages to the Tumidus formation, while the Jurassic theropods might have to get used to the cooler winters. Other than that, there's really not too much downsides to the Tumidus formation. And with all of this, I'll give the Jurassic theropods an 8.5 out of 10 in the habitat score. But from this relatively boring category, we're going to enter a much more interesting category. Okay, so this will be, as I said, a very interesting contrast to the previous category, as the Jurassic theropods will have to deal with their new food sources in the Tumidus formation. Also, guys, I've been feeling a lot better lately. I've been feeling very optimistic, but let's start off first with Guanlong. Guanlong, being the smallest, would probably have the easiest time adapting to new food items, as in the Tumidus formation there were lots of small dinosaurs as well as non-dinosaur creatures it could prey upon. It would prey upon small dinosaurs like Orodromius, Ceracinops. I'm sorry, these are very obscure dinosaurs and their names are really fucking weird. Prenoceratops, and possibly the small dromaeosaurs of the region like Dromaeosaurus, Bambiraptor, and Sornitholestes. It would also probably prey upon the mammals of the Tumidus formation like Alphodon and Chimolodon. Keep in mind, Guanlong has been estimated to run up to speeds up to 40 kilometers per hour or 25 miles per hour, so it'd be perfectly capable of catching up with these prey items. Up next, we have Dilophosaurus. Originally, it was suggested to have a very weak bite force due to the sudden curve at the end of its snout, which even pushed some scientists to suggest it was a fish eater, but new research in 2021 from Marsh AD and Rove 2B have pushed it to have a very muscular and robust skull, indicating it was an apex predator. So with this conclusion on the nature of Dilophosaurus, just what would it be preying upon in the Tumidus formation? It would probably have to go over the same food items Guanlong was going after, as well as probably Guanlong itself. It would also probably go after Chirocenotes, a large oviraptorian, which fucked around in the Tumidus formation. Unlike Guanlong, it was very fast, giving it proportionally very long legs. It could run up to speeds up to 22 miles per hour or 35 kilometers per hour, so it wouldn't really have too much difficulty catching up to its prey items. We now have Styracosaurus, which would be very interesting. It was more adapted to a semi-aquatic lifestyle, so it ate lots of aquatic life, and also ate lots of terrestrial prey, so in general it was a very adaptable generalist. It would quickly carve out its own niche in the riverways of the Tumidus formation, feasting on the region's fish, small dinosaurs, and crocodiliforms, and might even travel towards the more coastal region. It wasn't big enough to go after any of the formation's large herbivores like the Ceratopsians or the Hadrosaurus, but it'll be fine either way, as it was, again, as I said, very adaptable to what it ate. Now here's where it gets very interesting, as now we have Allosaurus, which will have a very weird time trying to adjust to the food items of the Tumidus formation. Allosaurus, as we all know, was the apex predator of the Morrison formation. It's been commonly known as the lion of the Jurassic, and it ate a wide variety of different dinosaurs, as we have bite marks of Allosaurus on sauropod bones as well as stegosaur bones. It was also incredibly widespread and successful, so it's likely that it was a generalist diet similar to that of modern-day gray wolves. Now, given this knowledge, just how would it do in the Tumidus formation, where the food items are radically different? It would certainly eat the smaller prey items of the region, however, it would definitely avoid the ceratopsians and ankylosaurs of the region. Allosaurus had teeth built for slicing and tearing, which wouldn't really be useful when your prey items are either as armored as a medieval knight, or have some fucking Mortal Kombat gladiator shit on their face. It would probably break its teeth trying to bite into the side of any of the ankylosaurs of the region, like Montia, and it would get absolutely fucking ragdolled by any of the ceratopsians of the region, like Styracosaurus or Rubeosaurus. Allosaurus does have some very solid food options in the Tumidus formation, that being all of the hadrosaurs of the region. Hadrosaurus were basically the horses or the deer of the Mesozoic. They were very undefended and relied purely on speed and herding to keep themselves safe. And so there were lots of species of hadrosaurs in the Tumidus formation. We had Maiasaura, Hypacrosaurus, Gryphosaurus, and Brachiosaurus. What the fuck? Given the fact that Allosaurus was likely a pursuit predator, it'd probably be able to catch up with them, especially in an ambush. So Allosaurus would probably avoid the ceratopsians and ankylosaurs of the region, but would specialize in going after the hadrosaurs and the small to medium-sized prey of the region. Oh, okay. Guys, I'm sorry if I sound a little fucked up. I currently have a really bad allergy right now, and it was like right after right after I came out of the barber shop, I got this fucking horrific allergy. So I'm guessing I might be allergic to hairspray, or I don't know. This shit's it got me fucked up. But anyways, our last theropod is Qianzhousaurus, which is the largest theropod in the Jurassic team. Qianzhousaurus would probably have the strangest time adjusting to new prey items of the Tumenisan formation, as unlike Allosaurus, who went after a wide variety of prey, Qianzhousaurus preyed upon sauropods like Tyrannosaurus and Stegosaurus like Gigantospinosaurus. That name, it makes it sound like it'd be a kaiju, or some shit like Ultimasaurus, but in reality, it's just like a Chinese stegosaur, which, it is what it is. The prey options of the Tumenisan formation are completely different, and Qianzhousaurus just wasn't adapted to them in any way. However, Qianzhousaurus was large, at around 2 to 3 tons, and was decently fast, so it could probably prey upon the hadrosaurs of the region. However, like Allosaurus, it just wasn't adapted to go after the ceratopsians or the ankylosaurs of the region. Qianzhousaurus had teeth similar to Allosaurus, built for slicing and tearing, which is useful for prey like sauropods, but absolutely terrible for prey like ankylosaurs and ceratopsians, which had armor and weaponry. Qianzhousaurus trying to bite into an ankylosaur would be like somebody stabbing a rock with a knife. That's how out of place it'd be. And so it'd have to specialize in hunting the hadrosaurs of the region, like Allosaurus, which would mean there would be 3 predators in the Tumenisan formation, all preying on hadrosaurs, which would result in some brutal competition, as we'll get into right in a sec. The Jurassic theropods earn a 6.8 out of 10 in the food availability score. Most of the smaller to medium-sized theropods carry on well. However, Allosaurus and Qianzhousaurus bring the team down a bit, as they just aren't very well adapted to go after the majority of the large herbivorous fauna of the Tumenisan formation. And this brings us to the category I think we've all been waiting for, and probably the most brutal category for the Jurassic theropods. Alright, so just how will the Jurassic theropods fare against their late Cretaceous counterparts? The small Dromaeosaurs of the region would definitely pose a threat to the hatchling juvenile. However, this wouldn't be a complete deal breaker, as nearly all dinosaurs had some form of advanced parental care, similar to that of modern day birds or crocodilians. From Biscatosaurus to Oviraptor to Maiasaura, and even to Allosaurus itself, all dinosaurs had some form of parental care. So while the Dromaeosaurus would certainly be a threat, they wouldn't be anywhere near as challenging as the 2 apex predators of the Tumenisan formation, Gorgosaurus and Daspletosaurus. These 2 monsters terrorized the Tumenisan formation, with Gorgosaurus specialized in the hadrosaurs of the region, while Daspletosaurus specialized in going after the ceratopsians. Let's go over some of the advantages that these 2 Tyrannosaurs had over the Jurassic team, which would make them a nightmare to deal with. First off, their bite forces were much more devastating. Estimates put the bite force of Gorgosaurus at around 22 to 25,000 newtons, or 2 tons, while estimates for the Daspletosaurus bite force are around 35 to 40,000 newtons, or 4 tons, which makes sense because Daspletosaurus has been debated to be an ancestor to T-Rex. Compare this to the bite forces of our 2 heavy hitters on the Jurassic team, with Allosaurus having a bite force of around 3,600 newtons, or 800 pounds psi, which by the way is lower than a tiger's bite force. And with Qianzhousaurus' 4 to 5,000 newtons, or 900 to 1,000 psi. And yeah, the Tyrannosaurus completely outgunned these 2 in terms of bite force, which would give them a major advantage in a physical confrontation. Another advantage the Tyrannosaurus had were their ankle joints. Tyrannosaurids had I'm not even gonna fucking say that. Where the center ankle bone was pinched together by the 2 outer ones, allowing them to run for much longer distances and be far more agile, because this kind of foot design is far more efficient than the basic theropod foot design, Meaning that if any of the large Jurassic theropods got into an aggressive encounter with either Daspletosaurus or Gorgosaurus, they're getting fucking left in the dust. They're getting their fucking ankles broken. We also have to bring up the social behavior of Tyrannosaurs, as we have tons of evidence indicating advanced social behavior from them. Both Daspletosaurus and Gorgosaurus have multiple specimens found together in a dinosaur Persianal park formation. We can also look at evidence from other Tyrannosaur species indicating advanced social behavior. For example, Albertosaurus, which is very similar to Gorgosaurus, being in the same genre, Albertosaurinae. In fact, there's even a debate going on, debating on whether or not Albertosaurus and Gorgosaurus are the same genus. In the Horseshoe Canyon Formation of Alberta, there were 26 Albertosaurus specimens found all bunched up together in the same area. Now, it's unknown what caused this to happen, many theorized as it to being a natural disaster, but it begs the question as to why there were so many Albertosaurs in the same place at the same time in the first place. Another very early Tyrannosauroid, Yutyrannus, which also is my favorite dinosaur, along with Gorgosaurus, Albertosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, and Qianzhousaurus. I'm a big Tyrannosaur fanboy. I love Tyrannosaurus so much. But anyways, Yutyrannus was discovered with 3 individuals all close together, and this indicates advanced group behavior even in the early stages of the Tyrannosauroid lineage. This is also backed by how Tyrannosaurs were likely smarter compared to other theropods due to their larger brain sizes and how developed the cerebrum part of the brain was. We also can't forget that both Tyrannosaurs had some insane senses, particularly in their binocular vision, which was sharper than anything the Jurassic theropods had. So giving all this knowledge, I think it's safe to say that the Tyrannosaurs had some major advantages over the Jurassic theropods, which would make it very difficult for the Jurassic theropods to compete with the Tyrannosaurs. The Dilophosaurus would be having it really tough as it would be directly competing with the juvenile species of both Tyrannosaurs for the same prey. And Allosaurus and Qianzhousaurus would be having it really tough as they will be going after the Hadrosaurus, which were the same prey Gorgosaurus was specializing in hunting. Given the amount of advantages Gorgosaurus had over these two, I think it's safe to say that they would try their best to avoid the Gorgosaurus, as they wouldn't want to risk getting jumped. And for Allosaurus, in a 1v1 against Gorgosaurus, I'm betting my money on Gorgosaurus, as the Gorgo is slightly larger, much more agile, and fight more devastating. Qianzhousaurus would fare a lot better in a 1v1 against the Gorgosaurus. However, against the Gorgosaurus, it's fucking cooked, it's toast. And don't let me get started on if either of these two encountered Daspletosaurus. Daspletosaurus was 2 to 3 tons, and given its massively powerful bite force and agility, it would wreak havoc on an Allo and give Yang a run for its money. The Tyrannosaurus would make it extremely difficult for Qianzhousaurus and Allosaurus. Allosaurus could maybe adapt to going after the smaller prey, however, Yang wouldn't be so fortunate as it was too large. And if Ceratosaurus ventured out into the ocean, it may face predation from Mosasaurus, so it would be very difficult for Ceratosaurus to properly adapt. Guanlong would likely fare the best out of all the 5 Jurassic theropods, as it was small enough to avoid competition with the Tyrannosaurs and the other 4 Jurassic theropods, as well as it was quick enough to avoid predation, and it was large enough to fend itself and its young against dromaeosaur raids. There's no evidence of any of the dromaeosaurs of the 2 Mendelsohn formation experiencing social behavior, so Guanlong wouldn't have to worry about getting jumped unlike the others on the Jurassic team. And with this, I'll give the Jurassic theropods a 5 out of 10 in the competition score, which gives us an overall survival score of 6.77 out of 10. Qianzhousaurus is probably going extinct.
Qianzhou, you! Let's go!
Allosaurus would struggle tremendously, however, it could probably adapt to go after the smaller prey of the formation, possibly evolving a slimmer snout, something similar to that of Qianzhousaurus. Tyrannosaurus would carry, however, it had to be extra careful of which waterways it chose to be around. Dilophosaurus would struggle to carve out its own niche due to the juvenile Tyrannosaurus it had to deal with. Perhaps it could follow the same evolutionary path as Ceratosaurus, becoming a generalist. And Guanlong is just chilling. It's the most successful out of these 5. And with that concludes this fucking mess of a video. I'm so sorry about how long it took to upload this. It was because the production of this video, like the marine reptile video, was a disaster. I'll make a separate video explaining why I haven't been able to upload many videos this year, because pretty much all the videos I've uploaded this year, like the big YouTube videos, like the main ones, they've all had a trouble in production, and I'll have to explain why. I'll go over each video. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Cheers, brothers. Oh.